G'day, I'm Justin from Black Opal Direct. Well, today I want to talk about investing in opal and my biased opinion, that is, I'm trying to be as unbiased as I possibly can by giving you the history and the truth about the opal industry, because there's a lot going on in the world, and gold's going up and silver's going up, and you question yourself about investing in stocks and shares and whether they're going to plummet or what. There's a stimulus coming into America at the moment, and what's happening, and is opal a good investment? And before I say anything about that, I just want to take you back along the timelines of opal and where it's come from, and prices, and why they've kind of fluctuated in the past. Opal has gone up and down and up and down. And back in the early days when they started finding opal, opal was just being exposed to the world, and it was a rare type of gem, but nobody really knew much about it. And so the price was good for the time, but still not high like diamonds and stuff like that. And then opal became more and more popular. And in the 70s and 80s, Japan got wind about this amazing Australian opal and started buying it. And so in the 80s and 90s, there was a big market in Japan. And coincidentally, opal started going up in value, and coincidentally, the Cochrane field and some other opal fields were found, and they were in full swing. So there was a lot of opal around, and there were thousands of opal miners in Lightning Ridge. So the production was unbelievable, and the market in Japan was unbelievable. And that back in the 80s and 90s made opal prices go right up, soaring sky high. And so that was the perfect storm until the 90s, when the Japanese bubble economy burst and the market stopped, absolutely came to a halt. And the reason is because nobody else was really working on any other markets around the world. Well, maybe some people were, but they were small markets and nothing compared to the Japanese market. So all this supply of opal had nowhere to go, and it plummeted down in value. And the supply was amazing, but the people we could sell to was very close to zero. So it was tough times, and the prices went down. Now, slowly over those years, people started working on other markets around the world, because Japan has actually never recovered. And so America started emerging, China started emerging, and some other countries, especially Germany and places in Europe, they were emerging as well. And the supply of opal now was starting to go down. The Cochrane opal field and the other opal fields that were in full swing, there were people that had pulled out because they couldn't get their prices for the opal. And there were also just the supply, and the mines had started running out. So it was making it really difficult to supply an emerging market. And now we get to 2000s to 2015, and the price of opal was slowly creeping up, and the supply of opal was slowly creeping down. And the reason is because a lot of the opal miners in Lightning Ridge are older generations, and they're really willing to work and find that opal, and there's not a lot of younger people coming through. There's some families that have generations that have come through, but not a lot. And so those people who knew all about the opal fields are disappearing. And as we get now to 2026, opals are pretty much as high as they've been ever. And it's an interesting concoction, because we've now got opal hunters on TV, which is causing a big demand for opal. And the supply of opal is going down, trickling slowly down as we went from the 90s all the way to 2026. It's been on a downward slope of supply. As opal's going along, more and more people are pulling out of the opal fields. The older generations that have all the knowledge are pulling out. there's some new people coming in, but they don't have the knowledge of the older generation unless they've been taught it. And it's very important that they are taught. So what am I trying to get to here? So now we get to 2026 and we are in a volatile world, and we're wondering if we have some spare money what we would invest in. And while gold, silver and blue chip shares will be probably the best investments out there at the moment, they're pretty solid. There are some investments that I believe you can do, and I'm a little bit biased in this because it's my industry and I sell opals. But if you were to think of buying a gemstone as an investment and an opal as an investment, here's a few tips to make sure that you don't make a mistake. And that is, if you were to buy a black opal, which is the most rare type in the world, and it only comes from Lightning Ridge, only buy green, orange or red, or all of those colour combinations combined, or blue and red, which is the rarest of all the colour combinations, because the supply of opal is really not great. It's going down as we speak, and people, even in the last 6 months, I know some very successful miners that have passed on, unfortunately, and they're never going to be here again to find another piece of opal for the market. And it worries me to a certain point, and the industry is shrinking. So when an industry shrinks, in my opinion, the supply of whatever it is shrinking too. And then when you've got a gemstone like a black opal, which is so rare, I believe in 10 years' time, the top gems, and I'm only talking top gems, will be worth a lot more. And the reason is because of the supply. And when who knows what's going to happen in 10 years' time? There could be a world war and it could be all gone, and everything's gone. Our real estate's gone, everything's gone. And that's just looking at doom and gloom. But just say the world is still humming along, and new markets have emerged, and America's great again, and Australia's great again, and the world is flourishing. People are going to invest in opal, but the supply of the opal isn't going to be there. So if you've got this gem that you've been holding on to, and somebody out there 10 years later wants to buy it, then that thing's going to be worth a lot more because you can't find it anymore. There's nobody there to mine it. And that's just my opinion. Now, here's a little sidestep from the black opal, and that is crystal opal. I'm talking about the best of the crystal opal. The knobby crystal opal from Lightning Ridge, the glassy 3D colour on colour that just can't be beaten. Now, that's not a gemstone that is as valuable as the black opal, but it still has a high value. You can get into the market with a top gemstone and sit on it just the same as the black opal on a lower level. And the reason why I think crystal opal is now going to start going up in value over the next 10 years is the field that crystal opals are coming from was found not long ago, or 10 years ago, and it's producing quite a lot of crystal opal at the moment. And so we're seeing some really nice stuff come out of Lightning Ridge. In time, like I've seen over the years, the Cookham field, the Grawin fields getting closer to empty, all of the other fields that have gone north, they're starting to get mined out. The Jag Hill mines, people are struggling to find opal there. And so this new field that has all this crystal opal is also going to be mined out one day. And when that happens, the crystal opal market, I believe, will be going up. And this is why I'm collecting crystal opals in my collection, but only the best. Because I believe that when the Alloa field, which is the field I'm talking about, is mined out, then crystal opals are going to become very scarce too. So if you were to think about investing in something, I'm not saying that gold or silver or blue chip shares or anything is not a great idea, because it is. It's probably the safest thing. It's safer to do that. It's safer to buy property. It's safer to do many, many other things to invest in. But speculatively, if you were to think about speculating on a hunch that I have and seen it through the whole industry and how it's working, I believe that if you were to buy good quality gem opals, and only the gems, that in 10 years plus, you're going to make some good money, or your kids are going to make some good money on that opal, because the supply is running out. Well, I hope that helps.